So let's dive in. These new U.S. tariffs seem like a good place to start.
Definitely. So the U.S. has rolled out new tariffs impacting quite a few countries.
And China is facing the biggest hike, right? Something like 104% on certain goods.
That's the figure reported, yeah.
Yeah.
A huge jump. It certainly feels like another phase in that ongoing trade friction.
And it's not just China. I saw tariffs are up on smaller packages, too. That could hit companies like Shein and Temu.
It could definitely squeeze them, yeah. And other places too, Vietnam, Cambodia, they're also seeing new or increased tariffs.
So what's the immediate fallout? Are we seeing effects already?
Well, we've seen some nervousness, dips in Asian markets, European ones too. And, the concern economists always raise is about consumer prices.
Right. Things getting more expensive for us.
Potentially, yeah. It acts a bit like an invisible tax hike on imports. And some worry maybe push us closer to a recession.
Okay. And how's China reacting? Not quietly, I assume?
No, reports say they're calling it blackmail and have vowed to retaliate.
And others? Japan, South Korea?
They seem to be, well, scrambling is maybe the word, looking for ways to mitigate the impact on their own economies.
It's also interesting, I read the talk about the tariffs online as being censored in China.
Yeah, that itself tells you something, doesn't it? It shows how sensitive these economic moves are politically. Government's trying to manage the narrative.
Now, part of the justification or the stated goal for these tariffs is often about boosting American manufacturing, bringing factory jobs back. A factory renaissance, some call it.
That's the narrative, yes.
But how realistic is that, really? I mean, the world's changed so much since, say, the 1970s. We have global supply chains, automation.
That's the core debate, isn't it? The desire for domestic jobs is strong, understandable. But like you said, automation is a huge factor now.
And wage differences globally, environmental rules. It seems complex.
Extremely complex. Just imposing tariffs isn't, a magic wand to recreate a past manufacturing era. The economic landscape is just fundamentally different.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. There were some legal developments, too.
Yes, a couple of notable ones. The Supreme Court stepped in on a case involving federal employees.
The probationary ones who were fired. About 16,000.
That's the one. The court temporarily blocked a lower court order that would have reinstated them. The issue seems to be about legal standing.
Meaning whether the nonprofits who brought the case actually had the right to sue.
Essentially, yes. It highlights how these procedural points in law can have really big real-world impacts.
And there was another case involving the press.
Right. A judge ordered the White House administration to lift its ban on press credentials for the Associated Press.
On what grounds?
The judge found the ban was discriminatory based on viewpoint. So basically penalizing them for their reporting. It really underscores the importance of, press freedom.
And those legal checks on government power.
Exactly.
Okay, and finally, let's touch on the weather. It sounds like it's been pretty extreme.
Yeah, quite the contrast across the U.S. We're seeing reports of flooding in Kentucky, storm damage in Arkansas.
While at the same time, the East Coast is unusually cold. Frost, even.
Right. And then you look west, and they're dealing with record-breaking heat. It's a real split.
And more storms expected, I hear.
Seems likely. It just points to, the increase in volatility we're seeing. These aren't just weather stories either.
How so?
Well, think about the economic impact. Floods, heat waves. They can damage crops, disrupt transport and supply chains. It adds another layer of complexity onto everything else we've talked about, like those tariffs.
So it really does all connect, doesn't it? These headlines that might seem separate. Trade policy, court rulings, even the weather.
Absolutely. They weave together. Economic policies create international ripples, legal systems face tests, and the environment throws us these extremes.
It paints a picture of a world grappling with some really interconnected challenges.
It does. And maybe the thought to leave with is, how do we make sense of all this? How do these big global threads, economics, law, nature, actually affect our own lives and maybe the choices we make day to day? Something to think about.